Hey guys, and welcome to another WoW video, and for today's video I thought we would go over some of the 9.1 mounts. So this will be all the mounts we know of so far, and I will let you know what they were called and where you can get them for when 9.1 launches. Okay, so here is the first mount we are going to go over. This is the Vengeance's Reins. And it felt weird even saying it that way, Vengeance's, but whatever, Vengeance's Reins. And this is gonna be a mythic mode mount in the new raid, Sanctum of Domination, and it is gonna come from Sylvanas. It doesn't really stand out to me, you know. Most of the mythic raid mounts usually do, like Jaina's mythic raid mount in the last expansion was amazing. And I will admit, considering all we've gone through with Sylvanas, I expected a really amazing mount to come from that fight. However, I do really like the eyes. The red eyes look amazing on this mount. Next up, we have the Reins of the Wanderer. So this is another unicorn type mount. This one's been a pretty popular mount, so I'm not, its type anyway, so I'm not surprised that they would bring in another version of it. As for the source, we're not totally sure what the source is at the moment, but the description on the mount is a curious and inquisitive doe. She doesn't mean to worry her master. She just gets distracted easily, especially with all the new things to see on Korthia. Okay, next up we have the Vicious War Gorm, which will of course be a PvP mount, and this will be for the Season 2 rated arena and rated battleground seasonal reward. And honestly, it's funny because the Gorms, I wasn't too fond of them in the beginning, but they have really grown on me as a mount. I am starting to really like this style of mount. I personally think both look amazing. If I had to say, I think I favor the red one more. And I love the little mini kegs that are on them. That is just so awesome. This mount is amazing. And next we have the Wild Hunt Legsplitter, another Gorm mount. And this one is actually reported to drop out of a war chest for the Wild Hunt. Those will be in the Maw, and in 9.1 they'll be like assaults in the Maw, and that is how you get it. And on the topic of war chest boxes, here's another one. So this one is the Undying Darkhound Harness, and this will come from the war chest, aka Assault, for the Undying Army, which is also in the Maw. As for my reaction of this mount, I love this mount. I currently have a reskin of it, which is the Theater of Pain mount that you get, that everyone can get from the Theater of Pain location. And I've literally been on that mount ever since I got it. I'm kind of surprised how much I've grown to love that mount. Granted, I like the coloring of the Theater of Pain one a little better, but this one is still pretty good. As for this mount, the detail is amazing. I love the eye color. I love the detail on his forehead. Next up, we have the Harvester's Dredwing Saddle. This one is kind of unknown at the moment, so I'll let you guys kind of guess at where you think it would come from just based off of the description of the mount. So it says, the Dredwings of the Harvesters fear no Mossworn, and will gleefully sink their teeth into anything that threatens Sinfall. My personal guess is this seems a very much like a PvP mount to me. And yeah, with the tip being Sinfall, I was thinking maybe this might be a war mode type achievement that's out in Revendreth. But like I said, no one knows. I'm just speculating. Let me know what you guys think the source of this mount will be. Next up, we have the Mossworn Charger's Reins, and this one is a beauty for sure. Yeah, I love the horses. I know we always have people saying there's too many horses in the game, but I love the horses in the game. I would say horses and cats are my favorite mounts. As far as this one goes, this one is going to come from an achievement, and that achievement's in our favorite place. And no, it's not the Maw, but close. Torghast. So yeah, not totally sure what the achievement is yet, but being that there is a mountain Torghast that required clearing layers, a solo, my guess is with some additional layers in the picture, maybe it's kind of the same deal, except soloing those higher layers. That would be my guess, but time will tell. Next up, we have the Sanctum Gloomcharger's Reins. This one is gonna drop out of the Sanctum of Domination raid. It will be off of the 9. So that is a boss, well, maybe a series of bosses by the sounds of it, in the raid. Basically, all we know right now is that it's more or less an encounter that involves Sylvanas, her Valkyrs. So yeah, and that is where this guy can drop from. Not sure if the drop rate yet, because no one's actually been able to get to the mount yet, but I imagine it's gonna be pretty low. Next up, we have the Soulbound Gloomcharger's Reins. This is going to be acquired from a drop that will be Venari Scavenge Supplies, of course, in the Maw. And that, to me, that sounds like almost like a Paragon cache, but the rep on Venari doesn't really work that way, unless it's gonna in 9.1, who knows. So this actually implies that Venari might get a Paragon cache, because that's what Venari Scavenge Supplies sounds like to me. Don't quote me. No one knows what this Scavenge Supplies is yet, but that would be my guess. That would be my guess that a Paragon cache is coming into 9.1 for Venari. We already know the currency is changing. However, that probably would have nothing to do with the Scavenge Supplies. Unless they make it so that you gotta spend the currency to get the supply box. I don't know. That one's very much up in the air. And next up, which is the last one of the Chargers, is the Fallen Charger's Reins. This one makes me drool, guys. I'm just gonna say, this is the prettiest one out of all of them. I'm like, this mount is just amazing, and I have to have it. I absolutely have to, which means it's probably a super low drop rate, but it can be found in the Maw, and it is gonna drop off of the Fallen Charger. Next up, we have another PvP mount, And this one is for the Gladiator Shadowlands Season 2 achievement. And this one looks alright. The wings look kind of weird, but aside from that, it doesn't look too bad. It's not bad for a gladiator mount. Okay, so this name is gonna get butchered, but the Hand of Nilganihmaht and Hand of Salarangor. I didn't think I'd struggle as much on the S one, but the N one for sure. Anyway, the reason there's just one picture for two mounts here is because they look identical. They are exactly the same mount to the T. I looked over them to find like the tiniest little detail, and they are absolutely identical. So this mount comes from two different sources. The Hand of Nilganihmaht is coming from the Maw. As for how, I don't know yet. That one's up in the air. And the Hand of Salarangor is coming from the Maw and Zorthia. It does state it's an achievement, so my guess is half the achievement's done in the Maw and half's done in Korthia. My guess is since there's two different sources for this one, achievements generally are a lot easier to do than to farm a rare. So my guess is a very low drop chance on the rare. And it's one of those situations where if you couldn't get it off your RNG, then you just go do the achievement that might take you a little more time, but guaranteed once you do it, right? As for my thoughts on this mount, I really like it, actually. I think it's going to make an amazing walking on water type mount. And yeah, that's exactly where I would use it. I probably won't use it at all on, grass or, roads or anything like that. But the minute I go on water, I'll probably take that mount out. So next up, we have another struggle name. So Hand of Hrestimorak. This one is a glory achievement. So this is going to be from the Glory of the Sanctum Raider, which is all the achievements in the new raid. Okay, and this is the last one that is the hand mount. And this one is called Hand of Bahmeht. I will totally admit that when I first saw that word, I instantly thought of Final Fantasy, the Bahmeht boss. This one is a drop, and it's over in the Maw, and it will drop from the Tormentors of Torghast. I think this one looks pretty good. I especially like the purple eyes. I think it goes well with its main color. Next up, we have this Soaring Razorwing. This is going to be obtained in Korthia. And of course, there will be a new rep to go after in the new area. So that rep is going to be called Death's Advance, and you're going to need to get it to Exalted. And then the vendor, who is called Minx, is who you'd purchase it from. And the currency that you need to purchase it with is Stygia, and it'll be 7,500. And honestly, in my personal opinion, on two factors. First is the Stygia. If they keep up with the pace that you can get Stygia right now, or increase it, 7,500 isn't going to take much. which I guess makes sense because you need to be exalted. That's really the tougher part, right? As far as the model of this, I like the model, but there is a different skin that I prefer over this gold one, which is ironic because I like all the gold mounts, right? But there is other ones that I like better than this one that we will show off right now. Next up, we have the Gamet Razorwing, and this is definitely a Korthia mount, but no one knows the source of it yet. But the description says Korthia was once known for its bright red flowers. Several species were known for consuming or rolling in them and taking on bright red coloration as a result. So I think that definitely tells us that it comes from Korthia. And I love this mount. I think this one looks amazing. Next up, we have another reskin of that same mount. And this one's the Dusklight Razorwing. And I really like the colors with this one. I think this one looks really good. And again, no one knows quite yet how you go about getting this one. And we got one final skin for this mount, and that is the green one, which is the Flerce Razorwing. I think this one looks really good too. I really love this mount. It definitely looks really nice. This one, of course, is in Korthia as well, and it will drop from Death Advanced Supplies. That definitely sounds like a Paragon cache. So, sounds like you'll need to be exalted and do more on top of that. Next up, we have the Tamed Mauler harness. Unfortunately, there is no known sources for this one, but I will give you the description and maybe you can guess. So the description is, when it comes to taming devourers, all it takes is a little anima and a lot of patience, and a lot of healing potions. So no one knows where this one comes from yet. However, I do know that, at least at the moment, this is a one-of-a-kind mount, meaning there are no reskins of him or any of that. So my prediction is that maybe he's from a challenge mode or something very special that you need to do in the new zone, and maybe you obtain him that way. But like I said, we don't know where he comes from, and until then, all we can do is guess. Next up is the Beryl Shardhide, and this is another one that you will get in Korthia from the Death Advanced Supplies. This one isn't too bad of a mount, and honestly, I really like the mount special for this guy. He has one of the coolest mount specials I've seen in a really long time. There are also some reskins for this guy. And those are the Crimson Shardhide and the Dark Maul. As far as the Dark Maul goes, I think he is off of a rare. I'm unsure really with Crimson, and I can't give a solid guess other than you just get him in Korthia. But with Dark Maul, I definitely think he comes from a rare. But once again, just speculation. Currently, the reskins of the purple one, Dark Maul, and the red one, the Crimson, are unknown sources. And the last one of this type of mount is the yellow one. This one is called Amber Shardhide, and this will come from Korthia. The Death Advance, you will need it at Revered, and it will cost 5,000 Stygia, and you buy it off of Minx. Okay, next up we have these saucer type mounts. They look very similar to the mage class mount. We don't know where they actually come from. There's 4 skins of this mount and not a single one actually has a confirmation on where they come from. But this one in particular, which is the Tazavesh Gearglider, on the description says brokers of all types use these gliders to travel around Tazavesh and similar nearby outposts and carry their goods as well. Now, we do know there's a broker mega dungeon coming into the picture. So my thought was that maybe it's coming from that dungeon. But that doesn't really explain the 4 different colors. But it could explain at least one. Maybe one of them will come from that dungeon. And then maybe you just purchase the other 3 off of a vendor. This is the Cartel Masters Gearglider. And this one is the Silver Gearglider. And the final one is called the Pilfered Gearglider. Okay, next up we have the Elysian Aquilon, which is from Bastion. This is a Covenant mount for the Kyrians. And here is 2 more skins of that mount. Unfortunately, the source is unknown for these next 2. So the Foresworn Aquilon is another one you can get, and also the Ascendance Aquilon. Next up, we have the Ardenweld Wilderling Harness, and it's the Night Fae. I know this one gets a lot of flack, guys. I get that, but I loved Falkor and Neverending Story. That shit was the best, and this definitely resembles Falkor. I love this mount. I think it looks great. This one in particular, you will get through your Covenant. However, there are a lot of skins for this one. So there also, these next ones, we don't know the source yet. So not sure where we get these next colors. But this one is the Autumnal Wilderling Harness. And this one is the Winter Wilderling Harness. The white one looks pretty cool. I like the white one. And then the green one is the Summer Wilderling Harness. And the green one looks amazing. I think the green one might be my favorite. And the purple one is Spring Wilderling Harness. Okay, it's a toss-up between green and purple. But all of those look amazing, so I don't care what people are saying regarding this mount. I think this mount looks sweet. I am happy to be part of the Night Fae. Next up, we have the Sinfall Gravewing, and this is going to be a Venthyr Covenant mount. I think it looks okay. I personally like this next one better, which is the Obsidian Gravewing. And it is unknown where you're going to get this one, as well as the Pale Gravewing, also unknown at the moment. Next up, we have the Maldraxian Corpsefly Harness. This is the Necrolord Covenant mount. And I really like this bug model type mount. Next up is the Harness Lord of the Corpseflies. I really like this one. I love the colors in it. Source is unknown, as well as the Battlefield Swarmer Harness and the Regal Corpsefly Harness. Those last 3 are unknown sources. And the final mount I have for you guys is the Illidari Doomhawk. Now, this one's a bit of a weird one. There's no real confirmation on this or info, honestly. However, in the tooltip, it does say it drops from Doomwalker in Tanaris. And my guess is that this might be the next anniversary mount. At first, I was thinking it might be the next time walking mount that you purchase. But then when I read that it drops from Doomwalker out in, an old school area, I just think it makes more sense that this could be a potential anniversary mount for the next WoW anniversary achievement. So that's just my prediction, but this is it. It doesn't look too bad. And that concludes today's video. Let me know which one was your favorite, and that calls it for today's video. So I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.